Hey, it's the champ Antonio Thurman. You're listening to Tarver's Take, the most informative take in boxing. Just remember where you heard it first. Man, I got some sad news coming from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, man. Undisputed has been postponed, man. Tyson Fury suffers a nasty cut over his eye in sparring. And my only question is, how did it happen with an elbow, man? The sparring partner really threw a nasty shot, cut Tyson Fury over his eye, and there's no way that the fight can take place. It's going to have to require some stitches, I'm sure. And I don't know, sometimes these cuts take a long time to truly heal. And again, man, it's just sad, man, that the sparring partner even had that type of energy in there when you're there to try to help the champ, conquer a big moment in history, becoming undisputed. You just don't want that energy in your training camp, man. If you get caught running to a clean shot, that's just part of the game. But to have a guy throw a shot like that, a legal shot, catch you with an elbow and cut you that bad, man, I know everyone involved is really disgusted right now, man. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for undisputed Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Yeah, March 30th, man. And other news, bro, a big weekend of boxing coming live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Premier Boxing Champions on Amazon Prime Video, pay-per-view. And, man, what a doubleheader they got coming from the inaugural show with the big deal that they got on Amazon Prime. Keith, one-time Thurman, man, St. Pete, Florida boy, and Tampa's own, Florida's own. Two-time world champion Keith one-time Thurman goes up against what I think is a young killer in the game, Tszyu. And I believe everybody involved understands what they're up against in this one, man. It's even though Keith Thurman has been out for some time, inactivity has plagued his career over about 5 to the last 7 years. 4 fights in 7 years and 2 fights in the last 5 years. So when I look at this fight, man, I really can see this being a pick'em fight under different circumstances, though. When you look at if this fight would have taken place at 147, Keith Thurman may have been active, coming off some wins and having some momentum. This fight could be a pick'em fight. But because I believe Keith Thurman is giving away a lot of advantages in this fight, moving up to 154, this is going to be a tough go at it for Keith Thurman if he want to beat a Tszyu, man. I just believe Dan Birmingham and everybody close to Keith Thurman know that in order to win this fight, I believe Keith Thurman is going to have to be better than he was prior to the Manny Pacquiao fight, when he was undefeated and was outboxing, outsmarting, and using all of his ring generalship the way he does it in his own fashion, throwing those big bombs and those power shots and being elusive. He always had 2 of the best feet in the game. We want to know, does he still have that footwork to be able to get inside, outside, land those shots, and avoid what's coming back from Tszyu? I believe one of the most offensive fighters in the game today, when you look at how he uses both hands, body to the head, and its aggressiveness. He ain't going to be really doing a lot of movement. So if you had the type of power that could truly hurt a Tszyu to the body, even to the head, make him miss, kind of frustrate him a little bit, get that first win off of him, you're going to have to let him spin himself a little bit before you really try to go in at a Tszyu, because you're going to have to weigh him down a little bit, man. He's a strong kid. I think even on fight night, Thurman's going to be giving away a lot of size, man. So in preparation, I think Thurman's going to have to hit that weight pile, man. Going to have to really put on a little muscle, on his frame to be able to even withstand, because he might have to stand toe-to-toe in some stages of this fight in order to get Tszyu's respect. Because remember, Tszyu is a bona fide 154-pounder. and a big 54 pounder at that. Meaning on fight night, you can imagine he probably gonna be 170, 172 pounds, and that's real. That ain't gonna be exaggerating. That's gonna be real. And so he's gonna be the bigger, stronger guy. And man, I think if Keith Thurman gonna have a shot to beat Tim, he's gonna have to really be elusive, do those angles, and be very slick, and going to have to hit and not be hit in a fight like this, man. And Tszyu being the body puncher that he is, and I think that's going to really serve him well if he can go to the body early on Keith. But that's going to be a challenge because Keith don't really, the old Keith don't sit still long enough, but he has been susceptible to body shots. I've seen him hurt to the body early on in his career, and even as later in his career, I think a guy got him to the body where it looked like he was almost about to go down, but Keith he took it. So we know he got the will. Again, man, I think Keith going to have to be the best Keith Thurman we've seen in a long time, and we haven't seen a lot of Keith Thurman. But in this fight, when he did come back, he beat a guy handedly, a unanimous decision over a guy that had only lost once. Barbosa, I believe. Yeah, he beat Barrios, I'm sorry. Yeah, he beat Barrios in a fight, a unanimous decision. So, Keith has preserved himself, man. He ain't like he is shot worn at all. So we gonna definitely see a fight. You know what I mean? But I think Keith gonna have to really add some power, man. It's been a while since he knocked anybody out. So, Keith gonna have to be able to turn those punches over, not so much being so wide with those shots. Maybe turn those punches over, straight shots, probably get the job done, have a better effect if he land rather than the open shots and the wide shots that, is really signature Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? If I was Keith, man, I'll try to focus on landing those shots timing wise, to cause some more of a collision. You know what I mean? To get Keith, to get Tim's respect, man. But when you're talking about the power edge, I gotta lean toward Tszyu. Even though he didn't get a knockout in his last fight, the guy was smart enough to survive. But when you look at how he performed against Tony Harrison, who is a very slick, calculating boxer, really know his way around the ring. And Tim was able to do a lot of good work with Tony Harrison. So he's been in there with a guy that knows how to box, and you got to take your hat off to how they move Tszyu, man. And when you look at a kid, when you say, okay, he's peaking, I think when you look at the results of his fights and the fighter that he's faced, Terrell Goucher, who's been a contender right there on the borderline of the title championship, and then having a win against a guy like Horn, Jeff Horn, who had a controversial win over Pacquiao, because I definitely thought Pacquiao won that fight. But he has been moved correctly. He's fought a vast number of styles. So, he's going to be used to the movers and everything. So they really moved him right, man. And I think Tim is really peaking right now. And if he could get a impressive win over a guy like Keith Thurman, a superstar like Keith Thurman, you look at the names surrounding the weight class of 154. You got Charlo out there. You got guys like Crawford might be moving up. And man, Tszyu could, right now, arguably, if without Crawford being in the mix, could be the best 154-pound fighter right now today, because Keith one-time Thurman has campaigned at welterweight. I'm saying right now, arguably, Tszyu could be the best fighter at 154 right now. If not, he's going to have a chance to prove that in 2 or 3 fights, and could be, pound for pound type of champion before it's all said and done. So this is a fight you definitely want to tune into, man. It's definitely one to watch, March 30th, live from Las Vegas. It's the premiere of the Premier Boxing Champions on Amazon Prime Video pay-per-view. So it's going to be a historical night. And on the undercard, have another interesting fight, man. When you look at Romero and how he even became champion against Isaac Pitbull Cruz, one of the best, lightweights in the game today. Have both of these fighters have in common. Both has fought, what some would think the best lightweight in the world, one of the best, arguably, for sure, Tank Tank Davis, formerly Tank Davis, now Wahid, what Wahid, Abdul Wahid, yeah, formerly Tank Davis. We just gonna say Tank. Both of these fighters fought Tank respectfully, but Rolly got knocked out by Tank, and we saw Tank set him up for that, man, right from the door of that fight. He ran right into it. But before that, he was trying to land that big shot on Tank, even though Tank had to take a couple shots to get him to open up. You saw how Rolando Rolly was very anxious, overzealous, and he made the crucial mistake, man, really loading up and just overshooting his target and lunging in, and got caught with a counter left that knocked him out. And we know Isaac Pitbull gave Tank some of his best rounds. That fight was very competitive, and a lot of people was calling for the rematch, even though, Tank won a unanimous decision. It was a close unanimous decision where Isaac Cruz did win some rounds and made it tough for Tank at times. But when I look at this fight and I look at where Rolly at, how he became champion, a lot of people think it was a weak stoppage from Tony Weeks. When you look at the guy he eventually ended up beating, he ended up winning a title just recently. So the guy proved to be championship quality in that fight, man. Ismael Barrosa, he became champion by beating an undefeated guy, stopping him inside the distance. Ismael Barroso becomes champion and sets himself up for the winner of this fight. If Rolly win this fight, he can rematch Barroso, man, and become a unified champion. But he got to get by Pitbull first, man. And I think that's going to be tough to do. When you look at Rolly's style, all he's trying to do is set up that big right hand. Now, if he hits you with that right hand, he got power. But he has to be set to really detonate that power. So, but I like Isaac Pitbull Cruz, man. I think he's hungry right now. When you look at coming up short against Tank, and then you look at the results he's had since then, he's stayed busy and he's knocked a few guys out and looked good doing it. You can see that he's getting more confident in his game, man. And I think it's just Pitbull's time, man. And if Rolly really hasn't learned how to get that front hand moving and going and using it as a gauge, setting up these guys with that power, slamming that power behind a good jab, a scoring jab, and even putting that hook in the game. You feel me? Go to the body some. Put the combinations together. Don't be so much looking for that one punch. And I know I used to, I used to look for that one punch too all the time. Sometimes it can get to become a habit where you're just looking to knock someone out. But if you want to be effective and be more elusive and have more, success with that punch, you want to kind of put it behind combinations. You know what I mean? So they don't really see it coming. And when you look at even in the Barroso fight, he was having problems getting there with the right hand, because he was coming in and he wasn't using his jab, but his face was there, and the guy was able to land those counters. You're not going to want to put that chin out there with a guy like Pitbull Cruz with what he's bringing. So you want to tuck that chin behind your defense, hands up, instead of just coming in with your face first and your shoulders, because that puts your chin right on the line. And with a guy like Pitbull, I'm telling you, he's going to clip it, man. And he's been punching with a lot of power lately, man. So I don't think when you're looking at Rolly being that counter puncher that he is, and Pitbull Cruz being the busy, aggressive fighter that he is, this was going to be hard pressed to go to 12 rounds, man. I'm thinking somebody going to get knocked out within maybe 6 or 7 rounds. And I ain't really going to say who I predict to win But I just believe Rolly right now, man, if he don't get that right hand off, it's going to be tough to beat a guy that's as busy and as aggressive and as strong as Pitbull as seems to be as of late. So that's going to be a real good co-feature, man, and the first pay-per-view on Amazon Prime. Premier Boxing Champions, man, March 30th, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. You want to get your tickets early, and if you like Tarver's take, man, hit the Cash App, man, and show your appreciation. There it is, right there on the ticker. You've been listening to Tarver's Take. Until the next time, stay tapped in, and I'll talk to you then.